time for a post-draft wrap-up because there is plenty to dissect in Eagles land around that. Most of it positive. A couple of curious things that perhaps we need to analyse. And maybe we'll go through a best 23 at the end of it as it stands ahead of round one with a massive pre-season to come. Drewy, we've got our draft intake for the year. We're locked and loaded. How do you feel about it all, mate?
Hey, Garby. Mate, I was really excited after night one. And then a couple of things that sort of unfolded on night two with, with our father-sons and stuff got me a bit offside. But I think for the most part, when you look back at the haul that we've got, particularly when you take into account, best player in the draft in Dersma, most talented key position player in CDT, and then the best kick in the draft in Lindsay. So feels like a really good haul early. And then, it wouldn't be West Coast without a little bit of, strange things unfolding on draft night. So we just have to take that in our stride, I think.
Yeah, so let's get into that in a moment. Let's start with the positive, I think, and the two big fishes who I think we've known they were coming for a while. I think, there was a period there where, we were hoping, I guess, for two pure midfielders because that's our need. But, they've stuck with the Cooper Duff Tytler pick. And let's be honest, a lot of clubs, would have taken him in that position as well. Like, I think a lot of people looking at Essendon's haul with Dyson Sharp and Sullivan Roby and are a little bit envious, but I guarantee you Essendon would have taken Duff Tytler before any of those players. So I think you've got to keep that in mind. And he does present as a special talent who, will probably have an impact within his first couple of years. All the rucks taken early in the history of the draft have all had an impact within their second season. Natanui, Cruiser, Ryder, Luke Jackson. So whether it's as a pure ruckman or, pinch hitting in the midfield or floating forward, I think he'll have an impact early. And Willem Dersma, we know, is be it Bont, be it Will Day, be it Brendan Goddard, he's going to end up being a pure midfielder. That's the word we're hearing. They're earmarking him to play midfield. None of this half-back, half-forward stuff. He might play some time there, but it's going to be as a midfielder. So that's really exciting. And, he seems like he's such a unique talent. And then Lindsay, as you say, the best kick in the draft, who I understand Andrew McWalter wanted badly, Drewy. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. Minnie actually, was keen on that. Tom McCarthy's going to move into the midfield. We need a new distributor. For that night one trade where we gave up the future second we got from St Kilda for Liam Ryan, Lindsay was part of that plan. It wasn't just the Gold Coast boys. And I think there's still some uncertainty of whether we knew they were going to match or not match, whether people knew Gold Coast had the points or not. Lindsay was part of that. If they do match, we want Lindsay. There's a gap between him and the other players we had in our draft board. So that all worked out as part of a plan for West Coast. And, hopefully he can step up into the midfield one day. But either way, he's going to be someone who can provide something different to the team, Josh Lindsay.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I heard as well, was that the Eagles it's almost like they had a hard line between the Gold Coast boys, Lindsay, and then the rest of the draft. So, okay, let's safeguard against the possibility that we miss out. So I don't mind that, having the backstop up just to make sure that we definitely got one of those boys. Yeah. And the fact that you're saying that Minnie in particular was a big fan of Lindsay only solidifies how good that pick is for me. And also, it really feels a need. Like we really needed that gun distributor off halfback. And that's why I think he could end up in the team pretty quickly. Like if he has a good pre-season, there's every chance we could find a way to get him in early because he can fill that role for us that we're so desperate for. I mean, we're desperate for stuff everywhere, let's be honest. So I had a good opportunity to speak to both Willem and Cooper the day after the draft, which was a real pleasure for me. Maybe you might say that I started to blur the lines between reporter and supporter.
That's all right.
There was sort of a half an hour window, as you know, Garby, when you get these opportunities to speak to, catch and kill. You can grab whoever you want. And I just marched straight over to Trav King and Emma and the West Coast crew and said, look, I want to speak to Cooper and Will. I don't mind when it is. I'm going to be around. So I got a good chance to chat to both of them. And was really impressed with how they came across. They certainly appear from the outside to be really excited about the West Coast project. I love that there's a nice link there, between Willem, who came over to WA to spend some time with his sister, and Harley Reid, so that him and Harley already have a nice relationship, which they've been able to cultivate, which I think is going to stand us in really good stead. And obviously he's from Foster, small town, 3.5 hours from Melbourne, so you get that nice big country intake, which Brisbane have shown can work. Yeah, the country boy with Harley, I think that all lines up really well. And just chatting to Cooper, and I asked him about sort of his basketball, like how he weighed up what he wanted to do, and he said, I could have played college ball in America, but I just would have missed footy too much. So I love that it was literally his love for footy which made him decide, okay, I'm going to have a crack at the AFL. And yeah, I don't know about you. I've warmed to that pick probably the closer it got to the draft. And now I think as much as I wanted midfielders, now I'm thinking about, okay, we've got our possible unicorn, which maybe that's the guy that's going to stand up and win us a big game, multiple big games, who can play forward, ruck, important roles for us, but he's got something special. We can get an accumulator next year if we need another mid. But there's not going to be a Duff Titler every year. So I've definitely warmed to it.
Yeah, and I get the concerns over his height, but with the new ruck rules and the way he fills out his body and the class he's got, his athleticism, I think he'll end up being our number one ruck. But he might just be a little bit of a jack of all trades and just be used in different ways. And it's all about impact at the end of the day. I mean, Ignatanuhi didn't touch the ball a whole lot of times, but his impact on the game was profound. That's what it comes down to. And he won us football games. And I think CDT will end up doing that for us. What I'm loving is just how keen they are. Like, it's been so refreshing in this draft on the whole, not just for West Coast, but we've obviously led the way because we had 2 early picks, both from Victoria. How there hasn't been any of this go-home innuendo. Like a few years ago, there was Sheasel and Wardlaw told they were flight risks. Bailey Smith famously told clubs, I'm not leaving Victoria. Even with Harley last year, well, he never said it. There was all this talk, right? Does he want to go? Will he go? Will he be happy? Will he leave after a year or two? Vaughan Francis obviously had it. It was just great that there's none of that stuff. Like, if we provide them with a successful program, there's no reason to think they won't stay for the duration of their career, along with someone like Harley Reid, who I'm told has already been chatting with Will Dersmer about, the two of us, Batman and Robin style, as they said on draft night, taking this competition by storm.
Yeah, you'll love to hear it. I guess there was a part of me initially with Josh Lindsay where I thought, the Geelong Falcons thing scares me a bit. I don't know what about Geelong's like the Bermuda Triangle where like weird things happen in terms of their recruiting, how they get guys to go to Geelong and give them a farm as a little side piece. Like all that sort of thing scares me a bit. But Lindsay's going to be a big part of what we do. Like, the halfback distributor is so important in the modern game. So hopefully we can make him feel like he's a massive part of this rebuild. And then, so I was having a bit of a look at Sam Allen. Do you know much about him? So coming off the ACL means there's a bit of unknown. But his athletic profile is really impressive.
Apparently people that watched him at school level before he did his knee just said he's an absolute freak, like an athletic freak. His speed, his agility, his leap is just something like out of the box. And the feeling is, had he not done his knee, he would have gone in the first round. What I have spotted is that there's a bit of a trend with us. We seem to favour early draft form. You look at a number of our picks over the years, and I know our recruiting team has changed, but it is a bit of a trend with West Coast. Jared Brander, Campbell Chesser, now Sam Allen, and Josh Lindsay in a way, are all players who were tipped to go in their draft years inside the first 5 to 10 and then slid for different reasons, be it injury in the case of Chesser and Allen, and maybe a bit of form in the case of Brander and Lindsay. So That's something we do. Now, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Didn't work with Brander. Chesser, it might come right. He had injuries, obviously, which held him back, but maybe it'll start to come to fruition now just for another club. Lindsay, we'll wait and see, but obviously we're very confident. But, yeah, Alan might work out to be just a fantastic pick at that spot. It depends on how he recovers from that injury, but he's a big Metro boy, but incredibly enthusiastic. We've given him the opportunity when he was obviously in a bit of trouble. He'll take some time, but there's upside there, but who knows how it will work out.
Yeah, the running vertical leap like that he tested so well for that. I think he did sub 6K, sub 6 minute 2K time trial. Yeah, very exciting to see what he can do. Said his profile sort of says outside with a little bit of inside, but, he could be a potential future winger for us if we can, find people to fill that spot with the athletic profile. So that's all exciting. But yeah, so what did you make of the Banfield stuff? It sort of felt like maybe we might have missed a trick here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing you got to say is Charlie, he gets built up to be a better draft prospect than what he is because St Kilda took him and we didn't, right? So all of a sudden we're lamenting the loss of Charlie Banfield. Yeah. We need to put that into context. He was taken late in what's been described as a relatively weak draft, and the Eagles had him further down on their draft rankings to the point where they thought he would slip to the rookie list and we could take him there. So I think we should just taper the anger based on the loss of a potential prospect, and he might star at the Saints, and we actually hope he does, don't we? Because it'd be a great story. He seems like a great kid, and hey, we might be a chance to get him back in the future. But let's just add that into the mix because people are carrying on as if they've lost the second incarnation of Chris Judd, and that's not necessarily what's happened based on his prospect. But, and it's a big but, there is no excuse at all for not putting Jamie Cripps on the rookie list to keep the spot available to match the Banfield bid. There's just not. Jamie Cripps should have been put on the rookie list for West Coast. For those who don't know the rules, and you can add to this if you know any more, Drewy, there's not really much difference between the rookie list and the senior list anymore, right? So the rookie list is there as a mechanism whereby you pay players, I think the salary is $100,000 for a rookie list spot, and that means they don't go into the salary cap, right? But if you pay them more than $100,000, they do go into the salary cap. You can keep them on the rookie list. You don't have to drop a player to add them onto the main list for them to play like you used to. That's why Sydney have put Jake Lloyd and Dane Rampe on the rookie list so they can add to their senior list. They plan that months in advance, and plenty of clubs have been putting veterans on their rookie list when they don't have to worry about planning for their salary cap in the future. They're just one-season propositions, which Jamie Cripps is. So there's no reason why he shouldn't have been on the rookie list. Doesn't make a difference to him. He gets paid the same amount. It goes into the salary cap, and he can play as much as he wants. And then we would have had the spot available to match the Banfield bid. I don't know why we didn't do that. We thought that he would go through the rookie list, and we would have taken him with that last rookie list selection, I imagine, or a category B or something. But that's just list management 101, right?
Just feels like an administrative error.
Yeah.
There was no good reason why we should have assumed so strongly that he would get through. Like, you just have the spot there as a break glass in case of emergency.
Yeah.
You have to fill that spot on draft night, don't you? So I think let's just take the risk out of it. We know Cripps is going to be there. It's not a problem. He's on the rookie list. Surely they didn't feel like it was going to be an ego here for Cripps to be put on the rookie list. Like,
what difference?
You just sit him down and say, look, this is the reason we're doing it. And then you avoid all this if they really wanted him. So that's, I'd love to understand better the conversations that go on behind closed doors. But it just sort of left a slight sour taste in the mouth. Which is unfortunate, but it's not going to make or break the rebuild.
No.
But it just felt like we didn't dot all the I's, cross all the T's to just make sure that we got him on the list, because we want to look after our own and we want to look after our academy. Like, we want our players coming through to feel like we're going to look after them, come draft night. I mean, isn't that the whole point? That's probably what sort of frustrated me a little bit, is we put all this time into him through Banfield, 2-time premiership player. We probably owed him, his family, to pay him the respect to just make sure we had every eventuality covered. That's probably what I was thinking.
Yeah. And we could have, if they rated Rodriguez above Banfield, they could have taken him on draft night and then, and picked up Banfield in the rookie draft.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're just mechanisms there. And, Wes Wally hasn't made his way on. I'm just told they just don't rate him high enough. So you have to accept that. You can't get angry at that. They've got the close view on him and they don't think he's ready. So fine. But, this was a mishap. And look, I think we've defended Matt Clark a fair bit. And a lot of the stuff I think he cops is slightly unfair. But this is a principle thing. And unfortunately, I think he's got to wear it on this occasion because he's in a big position at a very big football club. And that seems like an easily avoidable error.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot right.
Yeah.
So, I'm still giving us an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, same.
But it could have been 10 out of 10.
It's just the principle of it. That's what it is.
It was almost perfect.
It's just the principle of it, I think.
Yeah, just needs to be better. I was reading a bit about Rodriguez. Obviously, we don't watch a lot of waffle footy. I think Nick Ring described him as someone who could be like an Alex Neil-Bullen. Strong personality, leader, great role player, great runner. Like if we've just secured our Alex Neil-Bullen at our next premiership, I think that's a good result.
Yeah, well, he's got a good opportunity at it. Good luck to the kid. I think we're bringing in strong personalities. I mean, you look at Dersmer and Duff Tytler, full of confidence, speak well. They're not going to be shy stepping into the club. Josh Lindsay was captain of Vic Country, I think, captain of his school. I'm not sure. One of it's a bit like a leader. Just seems like a really smart head. The same with Sam Allen. He looks like a really confident young man. So that makes an impact early on, especially when you're rebuilding. You bring in strong personalities who can, help set the tone early on and shake up a few people. That's great. And then Tyler Williams, we haven't mentioned. Like, I loved his video with Malachi Champion and Tyrell Dewar going over to his house. He said that he started crying when he heard his name come out. He tried to keep it together. And when we've seen all the skills that he's got, we rated him number one of all of those NGA/father-son prospects we had. And, he just seems as well like a real level-headed lad. He's going to bring a little bit of X factor into the team.
Yeah, which we badly need. And I've seen a couple of Eagles fans with him in our best 23 to start the season. I can't wait to see him. I can't pass any judgment on that right now, not knowing a huge amount about him. But, a young small forward, who can do special things. Like we're bad need of that to develop it. So the fact that Williams comes in pretty highly rated is pretty exciting for us. It sets up an exciting pre-season. It feels like there's a lot of competition for spots. When you're looking at, when you constructed that 23 for us, there would have been some hard decisions.
Very much so. There's in that best 23 that I did, like left out of the actual team, all of the players that are coming in, Finn McRae, Harry Schonberg, Dev Robertson, who you actually think one of them will jump up, right? I think there's a very good chance that at least one of them jumps up and he's in the team. In fact, I'd be surprised if they weren't. But as it stands right now, I've kind of left them out. You give the players who impressed last season, maybe the jump and the new draftees who are picked higher, but one of them's going to do it. Like, they've got the AFL experience, the big body, and they're going to come in and save their careers. They're all playing for their careers, let's be honest. So that's going to be definitely a bit of a boost for us overall. And maybe that's why as well, they prioritise Duff Tytler and Lindsay over pure midfielders, because they've got those players coming in and they're thinking, well, one of them at least is going to come in and be that bigger body, be it Robertson or Schomburg, and help us win the football. And then next year we can take a player that, suits us. But the other two are just too hard to pass up on. So, there's reason to be optimistic about what they're going to bring. And I think we're going to be excited when those recruitments are named officially and they're welcome into the club. So the best 23 that we did, if you haven't heard it, was a back six, which really looks settled, of Starcevic, Edwards, Ginby, Hoffey, Tyler Young, And on the other side was Liam Duggan. McCarthy on a wing, but he probably plays a fair bit of midfield. Baker in the middle, Dersmer on a wing. And then half forward was Hewitt, Shanahan centre half forward, Tim Kelly the other half forward flank, Brockman in a forward pocket, Jake the Snake, Cripps in another forward pocket, on ball, Flynn, Yo, Reed, Harley, of course. And then the interchange was, Graham, Marrick, Bo Allen, who I think feels like a bit of a new recruit, almost like another first-round draft pick, barely played last year. Bo Allen, and then the other two, I think, were CDT, or him and Archer Reed will probably jostle for that second spot. And then Clay Hall was another. But, you could throw up so many others that could take some of those spots, the likes of Gross and Hamish Davis and Tyrell Dewar and, the new recruits that we mentioned. So many of them can jump up and potentially nab a spot. It's going to be really hot, I think, the jostling for position.
Yeah, I think Tyrell Dewar is one of the most interesting players on our list right now in terms of his progression over the preseason. Mini's probably got to pick a position for him at some stage. He's played, across all three lines last season. I wouldn't be surprised to see him given a crack to start the season if they can find a slot for him. It's just a question of where he's going to be best suited. And then, I think Bo Allen is also up there as one of the biggest question marks on our list. He's our first round pick in what was, something of a super draft. When are we going to see what the recruiters saw, come out? And does he play half back? Is he going to be through the midfield a bit? Like, there's a lot. I've still got a lot of optimism about it. It's sort of hard to watch Murphy Reed in the rising star when he was on the board and available, but
yeah,
we've got what we've got. So hopefully we can get the best out of Bo. But yeah, you start throwing those names on the board and it starts to look pretty exciting. It feels like the rebuild, like the wheels are moving a bit more, like we're moving in the right direction. There's young players, talented guys on the list who are, probably bursting to prove themselves. And McQualter's team starting to take shape and have a bit more of his stamp on it.
Yeah, I guess the midfield still looks a little bit thin. And I think that's probably the most concerning part, is that we didn't draft an A-grade pure mid, and we still don't know who's going to step up and help Harley out. There's a lot of uncertainty there. So, Yowie, does he stay on the park? If he does, obviously that helps out a lot. Does he play a bit of half back, though? So there's a concern there. How much midfield does Baker play? I think we'll see him play a bit more. But again, it's not really known. We've spoken about the players who are going to come in, McRae, Schomburg, Robertson. How good are they going to be? We just don't know that. Starcevic coming in frees up McCarthy, and I think he's going to play midfield. But, he's going to have a bit more of a target on his back this season. The opposition will know a bit more about him. Hoffey will go in there a little bit. Can Elijah Hewitt step up a lot to play midfield? There's just a lot of unknown. How ready is Dersmer going to be to have an impact in his first season? It's encouraging. It's building in the right way. But, yeah, we're still a little bit worried that we're going to be a bit short in there around Harley.
Yeah, and that's why it's so great that we've got a few options. A couple of extra guys on the rookie list. If it's not working, we're going to have different combinations we can throw through there. Like, we're just trying to, I don't want to say it's a patchwork midfield, but we're just it's a midfield in transition, and we're trying to work out what all the pieces are. Maybe they were thinking that Warner might have been a part of it. Maybe it's better that we get him as a free agent. When his contract runs out next time, he potentially could be a big part of it going forward. Like, there's a lot of moving parts, aren't there? So that's the biggest part of the ground where there's question marks and there's unknowns. But hopefully, one of those guys bobs up. Like, I'd love Deb Robertson to become a consistent play every week inside midfielder. That would be. It feels like it's been a real long journey for him. It'd be great to see him get an opportunity and take it with both hands.
Yeah, and then there's Tom Gross and Clay Hall. Like, Clay Hall got a lot of looks last season. Can he jump up and just be that pure ball winner for us? And we loved what we saw of Tommy Gross. Why not have a big preseason and make himself a real option to just win it inside the guts, which it looks like he has the ability to do. So those guys could take a step up too. So, yeah, that's going to be the biggest watch throughout the preseason. But everything we're seeing on the track is encouraging. I mean, Harley looks ripped. I thought on draft night, I mean, it looks like he's 5 kilos lighter than this time last season. It seems like he's in a really good mental space, had a lot of time with Liam Baker and Jack Graham, wonderful role models for him. He just seems really zoned in physically and mentally, and he might just absolutely blitz them next season.
Have you been telling everyone that he's going to be a top 10, top 15 player next season? Because I have been. I'm telling everyone. So this is the year he takes the leap. What we needed to see was him come back in shape and ready to go. If he has a good preseason where he's getting fitter week on week, getting stronger week on week, he's going to hit round one ready to absolutely tear it apart. Although, I mean, who knows? We might get to see him in the Big V in that State of Origin game, which will be a remarkable experience because it'll be the home crowd cheering for Western Australia, but then when Harley Reid gets the ball from Victoria, the crowd will also be yelling for Harley. I hope that happens. That could be this is not necessarily the right term for it, but that could almost be his breakout because people aren't watching West Coast games much over in Victoria, but they'll be watching that game. If he has a big day, the hype for Harley Reid going into round one will be massive. But, I firmly believe that his third year, next year, is going to be big. And all the signs so far are really good.
Yeah. I still think burning Petrarca and pushing off Oliver was probably his breakout game.
Yes.
But yes, and there were a fair few others in that first season, the Derby as well, Derby, sorry. But yes, it was certainly grabbed some headlines early in the campaign. Let's just hope he just stays fit. I think most of the guys will go NBA All-Star type in that game and just make sure they don't injure themselves before the start of the season, so not too worried
for sure
in that regard. In terms of some of the other players we've noticed throughout the preseason, I mean, Jack Williams is the one that really stood out. He looks like a different person. And I did hear prior to the photos of him in preseason coming out that he had been doing a lot of running at the Eagles base long before the build-up to preseason had even started. I'm talking right smack bang in the middle of off-season when everyone else is in Europe and having their time off. He was at the base running. He knows his career's in the balance at the moment. He needs to have a big campaign. It's going to be tough to get those spots. We've spoken about it. With CDT coming in, there's probably going to be 3 guys who don't get a run at it. Bailey Williams, Jack Williams, and then one of Archer Reed and CDT are probably going to miss out, injuries permitting at the moment. So, yeah, he's putting everything into it, and my goodness, he looks good. I wonder if he can play key back. He's the one I look at and think, yeah, maybe key defence would suit Jack Williams.
Oh, 100% agree. I think he sort of is projecting to be a really good squad depth player for us. And hopefully this is a year where he takes a big step forward. I think that we've always liked him. But he hasn't really taken a game by the scruff of the neck, but he's improving steadily, but perhaps he plateaued a bit last season and we need him to take a big step forward. But he, as you say, there's so much competition for spots in that forward line. Job Shanahan looks like one of the best young forwards in the comp. So, Williams has got a bit of work to do to earn himself a spot. And I think we've said it already on this podcast. I think him playing key back wouldn't be, if he was our swing man, that wouldn't shock me at all.
Isn't it funny? We got 2 Williams, 2 Reeds, and still 2 Allens on the list, even after losing Oscar Allen.
Yeah, I did laugh about that. There's still going to be confusion about Allens and the spellings.
Anyway, mate, it's been a good chat. That'll do us for today. There'll be plenty more to talk about between now and the start of the season for sure. But despite the little mishap that we've discussed, it's all pretty positive at Eagles land. And it's been coming for a while, but it feels like the rebuild takes a big step forward now off the back of that 2025 draft haul.
No, very exciting. The young boys are at training today over in Perth. They've already gone over. CDT's looking with the Flins. It's with Flinny.
Yes, I saw that. That was a great little grab about him rooming with Flinny and, he's making stakes for him, but he might take his spot in the team. That was quite interesting.
It's all very good.
Yeah.
Exciting times for the Eagles. Yeah, great times.
Good stuff. We look forward to hearing from the young boys when they roll through the club today and this week. All the best, Drewy.
On you, mate.